The Boy Who Farted and the Princess Who Loved It, a tale of acceptance and unexpected harmony. Bartholomew's Bartholomew, or Bartleby as he preferred, was a young man with a peculiar affliction. He couldn't help but break wind at the most inopportune moments, filling the air with a cacophony of toots and trumpets that could clear a room faster than a 5-alarm fire. This unfortunate habit made him the subject of much ridicule and ostracized him from his peers. He yearned for acceptance, for someone who wouldn't recoil in disgust at his gaseous emissions. One day, while moping in the town square, Bartleby witnessed a commotion. A young girl, adorned in silks and jewels, was being chased by a pack of unruly boys. With a surge of courage, Bartleby intervened, unleashing a particularly potent blast that sent the boys scattering in all directions. The girl, Princess Esmeraude, turned to her savior, her eyes wide with surprise and amusement. "Thank you, kind sir," she said, her voice like a tinkling bell. "You have saved me from those wretched ruffians." Bartleby, blushing furiously, stammered, It was nothing, Your Highness." Esmeraude, however, was not put off by his awkwardness. She found his shyness endearing, and his flatulence, while unexpected, strangely endearing. She saw in him a kind heart and a gentle soul, qualities that far outweighed his unfortunate habit. As they talked, Esmeraude learned of Bartleby's plight. She was touched by his story and offered him a place at the palace, where he could be free from the judgment of others. Bartleby, hesitant at first, eventually accepted, drawn to Esmeraude's kindness and genuine acceptance. Their friendship blossomed into love, and Esmeraude, to the shock of the court, announced her intention to marry Bartleby. The court was aghast. They couldn't fathom a princess marrying a man who could clear a room with a single toot. But Esmeraude was resolute. She loved Bartleby for who he was, farts and all. Their wedding was a grand affair, filled with laughter and joy. Esmeraude, in a stunning white gown, looked radiant at Bartleby's side. As they danced, Bartleby couldn't help but let loose a particularly loud and proud fart. The guests gasped, then burst into laughter. Esmeraude, instead of being embarrassed, giggled and twirled Bartleby around the dance floor. Their first night together was filled with passion and tenderness. As they lay in each other's arms, Bartleby felt a pang of anxiety. He knew his secret would eventually come out, and he feared Esmeraude's reaction. But when he finally confessed his unfortunate condition, Esmeraude surprised him. She didn't recoil in disgust. Instead, she laughed and told him she found his farts endearing. She had grown to love them, just as she loved everything else about him. Their life together was filled with love, laughter, and, of course, farts. Esmeraude never tired of Bartleby's gaseous outbursts, and he in turn found solace and acceptance in her love. One day, their happiness was complete with the birth of their first child, a bouncing baby boy. They named him Bartholomew Jr., or Bart Jr. for short. As Bart Jr. grew, Esmeraude noticed something peculiar. He, too, seemed to have inherited his father's flatulent tendencies. At first, Esmeraude was amused, but as Bart Jr. grew older, his farts became more frequent and more potent. He would toot in his sleep, at the dinner table, even in the middle of important court meetings. Esmeraude, who had once found Bartleby's farts endearing, now found them unbearable. She tried to be patient, but Bart Jr.'s farts were testing her limits. She couldn't understand why she had fallen in love with a man who farted, and now she had a son who did the same. She felt trapped, torn between her love for Bartleby and her growing resentment towards his son. One day, Esmeraude reached her breaking point. She stormed out of the palace, leaving Bartleby and Bart Jr. behind. She wandered aimlessly through the forest, her heart heavy with sorrow. As she walked, she came across a small, dilapidated hut. Inside, she found an old woman, bent and wrinkled, with eyes that seemed to hold ancient wisdom. Esmeraude poured out her heart to the old woman, telling her about her love for Bartleby, her disappointment in Bart Jr., and her feelings of despair. The old woman listened patiently, then spoke in a raspy voice. "My child, you have been given a gift, not a curse. Your husband and son's farts are a sign of their love for you. They are a way of expressing their joy and happiness. You must learn to accept them, just as you have accepted everything else about them." Esmeraude was taken aback by the old woman's words. She had never thought of Bartleby and Bart Jr.'s farts as a gift, but the old woman's wisdom resonated with her. She realized that she had been so focused on her own discomfort that she had forgotten the love that lay beneath the farts. With a newfound understanding, Esmeraude returned to the palace. She apologized to Bartleby and Bart Jr. for her outburst and told them how much she loved them, farts and all. From that day forward, Esmeraude embraced her husband and son's flatulence. She learned to laugh at their farts, to find joy in their unique way of expressing themselves. And in time, she came to love their farts as much as she loved them. But their story doesn't end there. One fateful day, a dark cloud descended upon the kingdom. A wicked sorcerer, envious of their happiness, cast a terrible curse upon Bartleby and Bart Jr. Their farts, once a source of amusement and joy, turned into noxious fumes that could knock a dragon unconscious. The kingdom was in chaos. People fled in terror, unable to withstand the unbearable stench. Esmeraude, heartbroken and desperate, sought the help of the old woman in the forest. "Please, wise woman," she pleaded, "you must help my husband and son. Their farts have become a curse, and our kingdom is suffering." The old woman nodded sagely. "I knew this day would come," she said. "The sorcerer's curse is powerful, but it can be broken. You must embark on a perilous journey to the crystal caves, where the antidote lies." Esmeraude, determined to save her family and kingdom, set out on her quest. She faced many dangers along the way, from treacherous mountains to fire-breathing beasts, but she never gave up hope. Finally, she reached the crystal caves, a dazzling labyrinth of glittering crystals that held the power to break the curse. But guarding the antidote was a fearsome dragon, its scales as hard as diamonds and its breath as hot as molten lava. Esmeraude knew she couldn't defeat the dragon in a fight. She had to use her wits. So, she gathered up all the courage she could muster and approached the dragon, her heart pounding in her chest. "Mighty dragon," she said, "I come not to fight you, but to seek your help. My husband and son have been cursed by an evil sorcerer, and their farts have become a terrible plague upon our kingdom. Only you have the power to break the curse." The dragon listened intently, its fiery eyes fixed on Esmeraude. "And what makes you think I would help you?" it rumbled. "Because I know your secret," Esmeraude replied. "You too suffer from the curse of flatulence, but you have learned to control it, to use it to your advantage. I believe you can teach my husband and son to do the same." The dragon was taken aback. It had never met anyone who knew its secret. It pondered Esmeraude's words for a moment, then said, "Very well. I will help you break the curse, but you must promise to keep my secret." Esmeraude readily agreed, and the dragon led her to the antidote, a shimmering vial filled with a liquid that sparkled like 1,000 stars. With the antidote in hand, Esmeraude returned to the kingdom, where she administered it to Bartleby and Bart Jr. The curse was broken, and the noxious fumes vanished. The kingdom rejoiced, and Bartleby and Bart Jr. were hailed as heroes. They had learned to control their flatulence, turning it into a powerful weapon that could defeat even the most formidable foes. And so, the boy who farted and the princess who loved it lived happily ever after, their love and acceptance stronger than any curse. They ruled their kingdom with wisdom and compassion, and their farts became legendary, a symbol of their unique bond and the power of love to overcome even the most challenging obstacles.